Are you struggling to move on from a toxic ex who won't stop texting you? Well, one of our listeners is dealing with just that. After a breakup with a narcissistic ex, he's still pulling her back in. How can she stay strong and reclaim her sense of self? Well, I'm asking Rabbani today, our expert marriage therapist and dating coach, for real advice on healing, setting boundaries, and moving forward. And there's no need to wait because the episode starts now. Got ghosted again? Or did you just ghost someone? Well, no judgments here, but whether you're single or not, we're all aware that dating has become unnecessarily complicated and even weird. But does it really have to be? Let's change it up. On that note, welcome back to 52. I'm Kelly, a tech attorney here in New York.
And I'm Rodney Rabbani, a marriage and family therapist in Los Angeles, as well as a dating coach and relationship coach.
And today, we're going to tackle a question submitted by one of our listeners who's single. And in answering the question, we're going to provide some tips to help you successfully date and even meet your special someone. And who better to help us out than Rodney, who's helped countless singles find love and navigate the ups and downs of the dating scene. For our listeners that are single, grab your coffee or your tea and get ready to learn how to date with intention. And for our listeners that are in a relationship, we hope that this helps you to further appreciate your special someone and maintain your relationship. So let's get started. Rodney, you ready to dive in?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right. So we have a question from a 34-year-old girl. She recently got out of a relationship with a guy who she says was toxic and narcissistic. They've been broken up for just a month now, but he keeps texting her and she doesn't want to cave in. What can help her stay strong and get back to being herself after a narcissistic and codependent relationship?
So first off, she needs to block this guy.
I agree. Cut up all communication.
Yeah, she needs to set stronger boundaries. The way she can move forward is by getting closer to herself, protecting herself more, standing up for herself more, advocating for herself more. The more she can stand up for herself, protect herself, set stronger, healthier boundaries, the more power and confidence she'll have to move on.
And what are some of the effective ways she can detach herself emotionally from him beyond just cutting him off with contact without feeling guilty or second guessing herself? Because what we find a lot is in relationships with narcissistic people, it's usually with an empath. So they end up feeling guilty for not responding to the text.
So it's the same answer across the board for anyone who's getting out of a relationship and into a breakup, especially for someone that's an empath or has codependent issues. It's not about getting over the other person. It's about getting closer to you, understanding yourself more, growing, learning more about yourself, getting in touch with your inner child, protecting your inner child, being gentle, nice, kind to yourself, getting your own needs met. Building a better relationship with you is going to automatically help you move on from that toxic person or that relationship that wasn't healthier for you.
Yeah, talking about the importance of really focusing on herself, and healing and growing. What steps can she take to rebuild her self-esteem after this relationship with, her ex who is narcissistic and emotionally draining?
It's getting to a place where she can envision her life without this person. So setting new goals outside of the relationship or what she had with this person, having really healthy support, good friends, enrolling herself in healthy activities where it's empowering and healthy, exercising, new classes for whatever it is. And there's one thing that really fits all this together is coaching, having a strong coach that can help you with that support you need, help you with your growth, help mirror certain things back to you that you need to work on.
And she does start dating again. How can she avoid bringing in her trauma or mistrust from her prior experience into that next chapter with someone new?
It's a $1 million question because that happens a lot. And that has a lot to do with breaking old wiring. There is a reason why she was in that toxic relationship previously with the other guy. I'm not blaming her, but there's something that's maybe attracting these unhealthy partners. So it's doing deep work understanding patterns that's leading into these unhealthy relationships. That's a big part of it. But also recognizing and being mindful that everyone is different and it's not fair to bring in your baggage and dump it on someone else. But from my understanding and my work, the partner that you choose, and you do choose them, isn't just because they have qualities and characteristics that are familiar and goes back to previous events, maybe as far back as childhood, led you to pick this partner, and breaking up with this partner, you might get into another relationship that's very similar unless you do that deeper work.
Got it. That's very interesting. So it's very important first for her to heal, do some personal work on herself,
Absolutely.
and then move forward onto the next ones to not repeat the same patterns.
Yes. Yeah. Simultaneous.
Got it. How can she establish healthy boundaries, emotional boundaries, to not fall into that same cycle again?
It goes back to that inner work, right? And it's inner child work. It's making sure that your baby, your inner child, is safe. And you can get into a relationship and still be that empathetic person as long as your needs and your baby is being prioritized.
From her question, it seems like her and her ex run in the same circles, and she's worried that she's going to cave in because he keeps trying to reach out to her. Suppose they run into each other in person and he approaches her or he's around her. How should she handle that situation so that she herself feels strong, but also how should she act? Does she say hi? Does she not say hi? Does she ignore him?
Mm.
What's the right way for her to react to them being in the same place at the same time? At
Mhm.
this point, 1 month after the breakup.
This is what I would say to her. Everyone could use this. Imagine you have a 7-year-old daughter, okay? And your 7-year-old daughter, unfortunately, was being verbally abused by her father, okay? Or her other parent. And you have full custody of this kid now. And you still want your child to be free and understand that her father is around, right? If the father is really, really toxic and abusive, what are you going to do? You're going to let your daughter around this person? No. So then you do anything you can to remove her from any situation that can be detrimental or hurt her. If it's something that's somewhat under control, you're not going to just let your daughter go to the sky. There's parental visitations, there's spaces where it has to be safe, right? And there's an adult overlooking how your 7-year-old daughter is being treated by this man. So to answer the question is, when you run into this toxic ex, you got to kind of envision it the same thing, that you have this 7-year-old girl in you that is running into this toxic person, and you want to logically, as the adult, protect her and take care of her,
Stay away.
to stay away in whatever form you believe is best. That might be going to the party, that might be avoiding this guy, that might be allowing your daughter, your baby, say hi and cut it off and move on from there. You're not going to just say, hey, go ahead, do whatever you want, right? You're going to protect your baby.
Get your guard up with that. Now, you're giving the advice to cut off all communication. But at the end of the day, everyone wound up doing what they want to do, and to each their own.
Correct.
So suppose she doesn't cut off communication, and suppose he does keep reaching out to her, and he's trying to explain that he's changed, that he's changing, and just wants a second chance. So if he apologizes and he claims to have changed, how can she either stay strong in her decision not to give him a second chance, or if she does give him a second chance, what should she be looking out for to see if he has truly changed?
It's the same thing again. If you have a 7-year-old daughter and the father saying, please, I've changed, I'm not the same person, are you going to just take his word for it and let your daughter spend time with this man? Probably not, right? You're going to tell him, no, I need to know that you've done your work, you've gone to therapy, you've grown, you've done X, Y, and Z, and I need proof. And that way, I'll slowly start warming up to the idea of letting my daughter around you. Same thing.
Got it. So to our listener who submitted this question, we hope this helped you, and all communication. And if you don't, make sure you actually see, like Rodney said, steps that have been made to change his behavior. Wow, what a great convo, Rodney. I'm sure our listeners learned a lot. So a huge thank you to you for sharing your expertise and helping us break down this listener's question, dating dilemma. You've given us so many valuable tips to navigate the modern dating world with confidence and intention. And Rodney, before we wrap up, where can our listeners find more of your work and connect with you? I'm sure they'll want to follow you for more relationship and dating advice.
So I have a Instagram page that I often post on about tips and questions and information when it comes to dating and relationships. It's just my name, Rodney Rabbani. And I also have a Facebook page. It's called Question of the Day. We post questions about all sorts of topics.
Awesome. Definitely check that out, everyone. And to our listeners, if you have your own dating questions or topics you'd like to discuss and for us to cover in future episodes, click on the link in the captions and submit your question. We love hearing from you. So you could submit your questions through the link provided. As always, thanks for tuning into 52. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with your friends, because we all know love is better when it's shared. Until next time, stay confident, intentional, and authentic. Happy dating.
Take
Bye,
care.
Rodney. The content in this podcast is for entertainment and is not mental health, medical, or personal relationship counseling. It is not a substitute for professional expertise and judgment from a licensed healthcare or mental health professional. You should seek the advice of a qualified professional when seeking mental health or medical advice to obtain a diagnosis or any treatment regarding your mental health or well-being. The content in this podcast may not be applicable to you and your specific situation. Topics discussed in this podcast may include information that may be considered sensitive or emotionally charged to some people, and therefore listener discretion is advised. References to third-party resources are for informational purposes only, and 52 Inc. takes no responsibility for the content of those resources. This podcast is copyrighted 2025 by 52 Inc., all rights reserved.